Hello, everybody. This is your host, Sharon Serota, and today's guest is Linda Kleyman. And Linda began as a client of Healing Touch nearly 5 years ago and received tremendous health benefits. When she decided to leave her career in the sciences, she began learning Healing Touch and has been practicing ever since. Hi, Linda, and welcome to the call.
Hi, Sharon. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on your show today. Thank you to Sungates for hosting me so I can talk a little bit about myself, the healing work I do, and Healing Touch. It's a blessing, so thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. It's such an honor to have you here, Linda. And, Linda and I, we've known each other for several years, and I'm so excited to have her on the radio show because what she has with her Healing Touch has just helped so many people, hundreds and hundreds of people. And we're so excited to have her here to share with us how she's doing that with her Healing Touch. So Linda, can you tell us what sets Healing Touch apart from other holistic modalities?
What makes Healing Touch so different, and what really attracted me to Healing Touch in the beginning, was its sense of professionalism. I mean, you come across so many different modalities nowadays, and sometimes it's just a quick weekend retreat here or there, and that's awesome. That's great for getting introduced to different things and for taking things to the next level. But for me, and because Healing Touch is based out of nursing, it came out of the nursing practicum, and it's actually accredited by the American Holistic Nurses Credentialing Agency. I know I just put the credentialing initials all wrong, but it comes from that framework of being standardized, of really focusing on the client and practitioner relationship and holding that in the highest regard, always putting the client first. And then in the techniques themselves that we practice, they're standardized. You can go to me, you can go to a Healing Touch practitioner halfway across the country or the world, and if you ask for a specific technique such as a chakra connection, you are going to get that technique. It is going to be the same sequence, the same hand placement, and it's going to be just as beneficial no matter who the practitioner is, even though, of course, everyone is different, and every session is different too. But it's that high level of care and standardization. And the Healing Touch program, it's also really geared towards developing the healer, the practitioner, in a very professional way. And what I mean by that is there's a professional organization. Not many other modalities out there always have that support for people, for developing yourself as a healing practitioner and developing a business out of that you can stand up and say, hey, this is my vocation, this is what I do for a living, and I make a living off of this. And so there's the professional organization, there's liability insurance offered out of that, and from there's so many other community initiatives, and this is what's making Healing Touch present itself with such a strong presence in scenarios such as the veterans hospitals across the nation. I just recently in August did a stand down, a Welcome Home Valor Game stand down at Soldiers Field in Chicago, and that serves the veterans and their families.
This is so awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, this is great. No, because what happens is that the community is so accepting of Healing Touch.
Right.
It's in our hospitals.
Exactly.
It's notified and it's well accepted in the community for health professionals and doctors and nurses.
Yeah.
Using this type of modality.
Yeah.
So that's really wonderful. And and I remember having a Healing Touch session with you not too long ago, and I thought it was just awesome because it makes you feel at peace and calm. And people receive messages, or they may receive a message. And, for me, it was just, more or less understanding myself and getting more in touch with who I am. And, Linda, can you share what a Healing Touch session may look like and how that is for a person that's never been to one?
Sure. So really what goes on, let's say I'm meeting you for the first time, Sharon. I welcome you into my office or whatever my healing space is. And generally you just lay down on a massage table and you just relax.
I could do that.
But really, it's much more than that. Of course, we talk beforehand for me, to get an intake about you, your health history, your physical issues, ailments, if you have any, and of course you don't need to have any. And then any other areas of concern, anything from your home life, relationships, anything emotionally that is affecting you or affecting your life, any stress or anxiety. A lot of people come to healing touch sessions and other modalities, energy modalities, in order to relieve stress, to calm down, to just shake out any of that bad energy that sometimes we pick up from places like our work, our bosses, which is actually how I got introduced to healing touch. That was part of it. That was part of my sense of needing to reconnect with myself and reduce my stress level, because it was affecting me, and it was affecting me to a physical level as well. So we get an intake, we chat about that for a few minutes, and then you lie down. You lie down on your back generally, although it doesn't have to be that way. We can do chair sessions, whatever makes it available to the client. And then I begin the session. I assess your energy centers or your chakras and your energy field or your aura. And people can do that different ways. Most people use a tool called a pendulum for testing the chakras to see how they're moving, how open they are, what direction they're spinning, and how fast or slow, and use their hands to assess the energy fields. And a lot of people feel temperature. I feel a lot more textures. I say I'm a lot more kinesthetic in my approach. I feel a lot and have increased my sense of perception in that way, in my hands and in my body. So I take all this information in that moment with you to get a sense of where the energy is flowing, if I sense any blockages really, and where balance needs to come in. And then we just go throughout the session. It's based on the intake, based on a mutual healing intention that we set for your highest and greatest good. And from that point on, I go through a technique or two, and you'll generally see my hands either moving gently above the body, sweeping through the fields, and it could be really close to the body, or it could be a couple of feet away from the body, because I'm still in your energetic field, clearing away any imbalances or blockages. Or I could be doing a specific technique like the chakra connection, where I'm placing my hands on the body, on specific areas of the body, working up the chakras. And it's...
Yeah. Some people may not be so familiar with what chakras are and what energies the chakras present and how, that needs to be balanced. Can you provide a description that would help our listeners to understand what you're talking about when you're talking about the energy of the chakras?
Sure. And it is important to know because not everyone, and myself included, I don't necessarily see energy, but it's there. Just like we don't see electricity, we don't see things like infrared or ultraviolet.
Or the wind.
Sure.
We
but
know
it's
the wind is there.
And we see the effects. We see the effects of this. And so the same way that we all vibrate, we are all energy, we are all vibrating light. In that same way, healing touch works off of that concept that we are all part of the universal energy field. And the chakras are centers in the body. They correspond to physical centers in the body and the endocrine system, the glands of the body, that provide energy flowing from the universal energy field to the physical body. And it's through those centers in the body that there's functioning. For example, the root chakra, it's located at the base of the spine, and you can imagine that it then provides energy to those areas, the organs of reproduction and sexuality. And then as you move further up, you can go to the heart chakra, and you can imagine that provides energy and functioning for things related to the heart area, the lungs, the circulation, and so on. Do you think that's a little bit clearer for?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that, because what happens is we understand that it's a healing touch session, and it gives us a better feeling as to understand what it is that you're doing. that you're looking at the different energies, including the chakras,
right,
and connecting to universal energy, and how we can become more in alignment with that and become more balanced.
Exactly.
Did I have that correct?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, wonderful, great. And so who would actually benefit from a healing touch?
The beautiful thing about healing touch is that it really can benefit anyone and everyone. I mean, I have a lot of clients come to me with physical issues, and healing touch in research and in practice, just talking with other practitioners, people with chronic pain conditions come and find tremendous benefit and relief when things like pain medication or other traditional allopathic medicine just isn't working, and they're living with chronic pain, fibromyalgia, or people who are suffering from cancer. A lot of people benefit from healing touch in that way, and that eases physical pain issues. Healing touch is also really great for things like headaches, migraines, and providing relief while it's happening in the moment, as well as for the long-term benefits of that. And in addition to that, because, healing touch and other modalities know that, or like to look at the whole person, and the reason why this is holistic is that we look at all facets of a person, what they're doing in their physical life, and then how it's affecting you emotionally and mentally as well. So it's not just one cause that causes something to manifest, whether it's a physical disease or a sickness, or if it's just a chronic anxiety that's in our lives. There's other aspects, and this is where healing touch, like you mentioned, you got in better connection with yourself, your inner self. I can relate to the same way, where I was experiencing a lot of stress when I first got introduced to healing touch, and I was given practices to center myself, to know where my energetic boundaries were. And that gave me a better sense of myself, and that gave me a better sense of empowerment. And that really changed my life. So from that perspective, healing touch can be so beneficial mentally and emotionally for providing us with that stability or just greater awareness of trying to become more calm, centered, and more in touch with ourselves, so we feel more empowered in moving through life. And that's where we get that greater sense of purpose, and then that just enlivens us and vitalizes us for wanting to live and be more inspired by life. So this is how healing touch can affect us on all levels of being, and that's why I like to say it can help anyone and everyone on any level, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually.
That is so awesome, Linda. I'm so glad that you're sharing with us today on this topic. And with healing touch, I just see that helping so many people, just every day in their everyday lives, because what it does is also takes time for ourselves. Yeah. That's what I'm hearing what you say, is that it could just help anyone at any time.
Yeah.
And so by coming to a healing touch practitioner such as yourself, that people can experience these benefits.
Exactly. And I also have clients who fall in that line. You know, sometimes you're seeing someone regularly every week for a specific condition, and sometimes people just pop in and out and just say, hey, I need a tune-up here, or I'm just not feeling right, but I know I need some healing touch. And that's perfect. It's perfect for them. It works for them. And it just is a great way to add into your own self-care practices. It's not taking away from anything else, absolutely. It's just adding to all the tools that are available to you in order to be your greatest.
Right, and this helps us on a daily basis. And, you know, when you said the word tune-up, the first thing I thought about was my car. And of course, you know, I want to take care of my car because that's how my car is going to keep running.
Right.
And, you know, and our body is like our temple.
Yes.
It's like of who we are and what we're doing and experiencing in this world. And we want to take good care of ourselves.
Yeah.
And this is just good health care.
It's good maintenance, really.
Good maintenance,
and
yes.
Especially, you know, we're all busy, and, well, obviously, we forget to take care of ourselves, but really, that's another thing that we emphasize in Healing Touch, and just many holistic modalities, is self-care practices. It is so important that we need to keep in touch with ourselves and keep tabs on ourselves, because really it's ultimately up to us, right?
Right, absolutely. And how can we experience that? How could we do a quick touch on healing touch, so to speak? So our listeners can say, oh, I see this energy. I feel this energy.
Yeah. Well, here's a good one. And this is a really simple one that you probably do all the time, especially if you're in Chicago and experience a winter like we did the last one, where it gets pretty cold. All it takes is just taking your hands and rub them together.
Okay.
It just takes a few seconds. Rub them, and then stop. And pull them apart a couple of inches and just see if you sense anything. And maybe move them further apart from each other or closer. And maybe rotate your hands. See if you can stretch them further or closer. And just notice what you feel.
Wow, this is amazing. And I can really feel this energy.
And Sharon and I were going to rotate our hands closer together and kind of play with this little energy ball that we've created. Hey,
Definitely. I can feel this. I can feel the energy between my hands.
Yeah.
So initially I felt a little tingling, maybe a little sensation of warmth.
Yeah.
And then as I started to pull my hands apart, I could feel, some movement going around in the palms of my hands.
Right.
And just feeling that energy and the tingling that's going through to my fingers all the way through. So this is just really, really nice that, you can feel that energy.
Yeah. And you created it yourself and you realize, I really can feel this. This isn't beyond my scope of perceiving. And then you take that a step further. And that's really how it began with me. I was a client first of Healing Touch, but then I wanted to take it to the next level. And so just trying it with other people, because it's all within us. This healing power is within us. And then the next step is to take it to attuning with another person, having their highest and greatest good, their best interest in mind in a healing session, and just allowing that energy to flow through and trusting that it provides balance where it is needed in that time.
Mm-hmm. And I know that working, and thinking about intention and knowing that what the purpose is, and just always going up to that highest good level and that highest vibration. Yeah. And so that the person receives the healing that they need during that time. And it also the healing processes in the body.
Exactly.
So they'll take that even past the session.
Oh yeah, definitely. And especially we like to say to our first-time clients, and if you're sensitive to energy or not, it doesn't matter. The fact is, especially after a first session, it can take 24, even 48 hours for things to process in the body, because things are happening at different levels. Especially the higher in the field you're working, the higher the vibration, the less you might be able to sense what's working. But then as that vibration comes closer and closer into the physical body, that's when you get the physical differences manifest, such as, oh, that headache has really gone away, and or that pain you've been having for forever, it just kind of slowly, it disappears, or you don't even think about it anymore.
Right.
It can be that sudden, and it can be that miraculous sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes just the subtleties, and we may not even notice it. Oh, my headache's gone, and you don't realize it till way past the point where, I don't even have that anymore.
Right.
So, and that's just a great feeling that all these things are working in your body, because the body has the magic to heal itself.
Right.
And it just needs to have that intention of healing.
Right.
And so someone that does healing touch knows how to do those processes. And there's a set in place of procedures that will help a person during a healing touch session.
Exactly. I mean, as the facilitator, as the practitioner, that's really, I don't take credit. I do and I don't, because yes, I'm holding space for you, the client, as you're on the table, you're relaxing. Sometimes you fall asleep. Sometimes we're talking and engaging as things are arising. It depends on the flow of the session. It depends on what we're working on. but I'm merely just connecting to a higher vibration, like a tuning fork effect, really, and then aiding you to benefit from that as well, to transfer that, because there's an attunement process. And in Healing Touch, we always ground, center, and attune, and that's at the beginning of a session, and that ensures that everything is for the client's highest and greatest good. And then at the end of a session, we ground and release, so that you are back again, once again, in your own energy sphere, your own being. And so am I. And that's another question that people often ask me is, do you get drained from Healing Touch? Well, no, and this is why. It's because we set up specific principles, guidelines, such as that: ground, center, attune, and then ground and release, so that we maintain our own energetic boundaries. Even though we are all connected and we are all part of that universal energy field, like I mentioned before, we still are in control of our own field in the end. And so this is why I never get drained. I actually get really energized from healing sessions. I love it.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's just great to know. And you know, sometimes people don't understand really what grounding is or attunements are. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Sure. Grounding is really, well, this is another exercise you can do if you're just sitting in a chair or standing. I mean,
let's try that one. Let's see how we can ground ourselves.
Let's say you're sitting in a chair. Make sure your spine is straight, your feet are flat on the floor, and just consciously recognize the sensation of your feet being on the floor, and perhaps how your seat is in your chair, and just how solid and secure that feels. And that can be enough, but to take it a step further, we like to engage the mind. We like to visualize. We like to imagine a cord of energy running down through the spine and through the feet, and this is going down through all the layers of earth beneath us, down to the very center, the very core of the earth. And just to breathe into that awareness, into that sensation, whatever it feels like. It's very supportive, it's very nurturing. And if you feel especially supported by nature, and it's great to do this standing in a field or a forest. I mean, it's a great grounding practice. It's a great way to feel just very centered.
This is great, Linda. No, this is wonderful. I really appreciate that. I feel so much centered and I feel happier.
Right.
I feel supported by the earth energy. I feel supported just being in my skin.
Yeah.
Just being right here and being present.
Exactly.
And bringing you to the present moment. So this makes me feel even more energized.
Exactly.
So I really like that, how you're taking us through the grounding technique. Mm-hmm. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you for following along.
Oh, absolutely. I'm following every step of the way with you. So, and can you explain to us a little bit more about attunements?
Okay. And then attuning, again, this can be with a healing touch. I guess I haven't said. It can be light touch or no touch. It depends on how comfortable the person is. Some people have experienced trauma, but still can receive the benefits of healing touch because I'm still working in the energetic field. However, the core principle of attunement is that I am attuning to your energies so that our energies are kind of following the same wavelength throughout the entire session. So the way I do it, and most healing touch practitioners attune to their client, is by just placing their hands gently on the client's shoulders and just breathing for a few moments and using their own inner sense of when there's a sense of resonance achieved. And it kind of just clicks. You feel that, oh, yes, we're ready to move forward, and trusting that from this point on, all the techniques that are done are specifically for the client, so that we're working with their energy, even Though it is universal energy, we're trusting that the energy flowing through me is to the client and for balancing them and their intentions set at the beginning.
Right. I can see that happening, where as soon as you have that, when you're touching them on their shoulders, I could just feel the sensation of the idea that now you're being patterned together.
Exactly.
Like, sharing like the same energy level or vibration.
Exactly.
That you can help now attune them into having a higher vibration, or just a matter of being in alignment.
Exactly.
Right? So energizing and stabilizing their energy centers, their chakras and so forth. So, and it tunes you into the client.
Yeah.
So that way you have a better feel for how the session is going to progress.
And that's another really interesting thing, because my method is so, as I've said, kinesthetic. I feel a lot. I feel a lot in my hands. I also feel a lot in my body. After I attune to my client, I just know, just from experience, and I just have this unshakable trust, really. That also comes from practice, that whatever I feel in my body, it's either a sensation that the client themselves is feeling in the session, because we chat afterwards, and sometimes they validate that. I'll say, hey, were you feeling something in your left shoulder? And they'll say, oh yeah, that's totally what I was feeling. So I just trust that after that attunement process, whatever I'm sensing or experiencing in my body, it's either what they're experiencing or information for me to then take in and adjust the session or follow through with a technique one way or another. So, but after the attunement, after we ground and release our energies from each other at the end of a session, that any of those sensations, they go away. And it's just really as simple as that. There's no attachment. So it's just a really trusting process and really magical, that what is going on in the session is happening with the client. And so that's why I love it. It's just so moving and enlightening every single time.
Yeah, every step of the way of the Healing Touch session, it's empowering the client, and it's also helping them to be in attunement.
Exactly.
And do you see auras? Do you see things like that when you're doing a healing session with someone?
It's funny that you ask, because if you had asked me 2 years ago, when I really more intensely began this process, I would have said, no, I don't. It depends now on the situation that I'm in. In really high energy places, for example, if I go to a retreat or something, or a conference where it's just a room full of healers, the energy there is outstanding. It's high. And so sometimes I don't necessarily see colors, but I see kind of silhouettes and shadows, and sometimes I'll see things zooming by. So sometimes that happens in a session with me. But generally, I actually don't see. Like I said, I mostly feel. But even when I began training to become a Healing Touch practitioner, I didn't feel necessarily. And you don't have to. That's the beautiful thing, because it's still occurring. It's based on intention and trusting that the energy is there.
Right. And again, it's like saying the wind is there. Well, we don't really see the wind, but we could feel it.
Exactly.
It's there. And Linda, with auras, I know Sungates also offers an opportunity to have an aura session done where you can see the picture of the auras and the chakras, and they can experience it. And I think you've had an opportunity to have that at Sungates. How was that for you?
Yeah, I have actually. It was really neat, because this was an opportunity to actually have a picture showing what is happening all the time. A person's aura has all of the layers within it, the etheric level, emotional, mental, and then all of the spiritual levels, which have their different levels vibrating in between. To see this actually represented in the picture from the aura imaging machine, it was so cool. And then the report that came along with this session at Sungates, it said that I was a peaceful healer. And I thought that was so appropriate and cool.
Oh my gosh, that is so you.
I know, right? But then to actually see that in the picture form, I mean, I had a lot of green and turquoise and blue. And, that's indicative of a lot of heart energy, communication, using the throat chakra, as the chakras correspond to the colors of the rainbow, as I like to say to people. That's a really simple way, just to follow the colors of the rainbow. Root chakra, red, all the way up to sacral, solar plexus, heart, green energy, throat, blue, and then going up to the third eyebrow and crown. So
yeah, and we could relate that to healing touch as well, because you're going through those energy chakras.
Yeah,
because I know I've had a report done here at Sungates as well, and all of my chakras and all my sides were light violet, and then I had white light coming in from on my left side.
That's cool. And white light, that's probably has to do with communication, receiving messages through the crown chakra from higher energy sources, probably, right?
Right. So it's being communicative with source, or just with universal energy, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting.
Yeah, and it's a neat way to see how energy is being interpreted in these different systems of the body. It was really enlightening for me to see that, and to have that written down, that, you might be seen as this way, but you might be, feeling a little lethargic sometimes. And it was like, yeah, that's actually kind of true, and ways to boost that side of ourselves up, because everything comes to how we balance ourselves out, right? So
right, absolutely. And it's a 30-page report that you get with this aura.
It's a lot. It's great.
So there's a lot of information that you can get. And also with Healing Touch, you can address some of those issues that people may have.
Yeah.
And so that way people know, I need to work on this part of my body, or this is, more energy that I need to have on this side.
Exactly.
So that's just perfect. And we would like to offer our listeners something special today. And Linda, do you have something you'd like to talk about?
I sure do. I am so pleased to say that for any of you guys listening out there, if you would like to try Healing Touch for yourselves, all you need to do is contact Sungates. And through that, you'll be able to have a free healing session with me throughout this month of October.
That is fantastic. So the way to reach Sungates is through sungatescenter.com, and you could reach out to Sungates then to set up the session with Linda.
Yeah, and I'm happy to see you. I see clients in my home in Skokie, and I'm also starting to work at Root Wellness Studio in the Lakeview neighborhood of Chicago.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Linda. I know I've learned a lot more about Healing Touch, and I know our listeners have too. So I wanted to thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you so much, Sharon, again. It was such a pleasure, and really it's such a gift to be able to share this work with people, and just the knowledge and the wisdom that comes with it, because it's not just for me. It's something that needs to be shared with everyone, and for everyone to know that this is within you, to access it with yourself, and to just see how much it can change your life.
Well, that is great, Linda. Thank you so much again. And is there anything else that you would like to share with our listeners before we end the call?
Just so many blessings to you beautiful souls out there. You're listening to this radio broadcast for a reason. I hope that there has something that has touched you, resonated within you, and if there's ever been any question that you wanted to reach out and try something new, whether it's a Healing Touch session or an aura imaging session, if something is just piquing your interest and you feel it and you hear that little voice within yourself, it's pushing you. So follow it. Follow your guidance.
Absolutely. Listen to your heart.
Exactly.
And follow your heart. So thank you again. Thank you to all the listeners. And thank you, Linda. Everyone have a wonderful day.